Because what I noticed that was so interesting, it wasn't just that they did death differently, they did life differently. They lived a different way. Hi, I'm Leigh Salisbury. I am the co-founder of Purity Coffee and the founder of Sacred Cups Coffee. I was actually working in the corporate world when I discovered Tony Robbins, and this is back in, the 90s. So I ended up going to one of his courses. The thing about Tony is he has an unlimited amount of energy and an unlimited amount of wisdom, and he gives it to you. He gives you all of it. So I did that event and then decided I wanted to do something else. I wanted a job where I was traveling the world, working 6 months out of the year, making a difference in people's lives, coaching, surrounded by people that were really wanting to do something big in the world. I went to Hawaii, and while I was there, it was about a 10-day-long seminar, Life Mastery University is what it was called. And I decided, oh my gosh, this is the kind of environment that I want to live in, right? There were like-minded people, they were movers and shakers, they were making things happen. So I actually found Tony and I said, I love this. I'm so excited to be here. I am going to be working for your company, and you just don't know it yet. And he loved that. And then within 2 weeks, I was actually on an airplane, flying to Australia, and working for Tony Robbins. Gosh, working for Tony for about 8 years. It was a beautiful dream come true kind of situation for someone in her late 20s and early 30s. After leaving Tony, I started doing a lot of coaching, and I was doing love coaching. I was helping people get into relationships, discover what it was they wanted. For some of them, it was, discovering more self-love, and then for others, once we got someone where they needed to be there, then we'd open the door of, okay, now let me bring someone else to this party. In 2005, I lost my mom to endometrial cancer. Also met Andrew Salisbury 10 days later for our first date. When Andrew and I first got together, there was a lot of grief happening for me. I lost my mom. My dad had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I lost him a few years later. Also had a miscarriage during that time, right? And so it was a lot of grief. It was a very painful time in my life. I decided, as a result of my parents' death, I thought, we don't do death very well in the Western world. I want to make a difference in this area. And so I became an end-of-life doula. And what an end-of-life doula is someone that really supports people in the end stages of life, and then sometimes a few years before, right? We help them create legacy projects. We educate them about what the process is going to look like. We support their families, because the thing that's crazy is it's the one thing that's coming for all of us, right? But it's the one thing that no one really talks about very much. We're afraid to talk about this topic. So I went on this quest to see how other cultures did that part of life. And that's how I became connected to so many of the different indigenous people that have been an influence to Sacred Cups. Because what I noticed that was so interesting, it wasn't just that they did death differently, they did life differently. They lived a different way. And as a result of that, when they came to the end of life, there wasn't the regret. There wasn't the, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have lived this way. It was really beautiful to watch. It's interesting because all of these things happened at the same time. I was an imago therapist, and then I worked with people. They would start a relationship, they would fall in love, and then they would want me to marry them. So I ended up, becoming a celebrant. I started officiating weddings, and then they would have babies, and then I would, we would do baby naming ceremonies. So that time was a very, very sweet time. Not only was I building that practice, I was also working with Andrew very closely inside Purity. We were launching the business. It was a really exciting time. Yeah. Right? And I was utilizing everything that I had learned, in that therapist world, because we're always dealing with people. We're always dealing with humans. So it was Yeah, it was a really sweet time. We all have something that we're going to develop and deliver in our lifetime, right? And we have this thing that is looking for us, right? And I feel like sacred was that for me. Getting coffee out to the world in this different way. This is just a big part of my life's work. And I think a big part of it is the connection. You know, that's the brand promise of Sacred Cups, is connection. You know, we are connecting you to yourself, we're connecting you to community, we're connecting you to the vision of your future. So one thing that women are really great at is creating that collaborative connection, that community. And I think that is so important, especially now at this time in our world and in our lives, coming together over coffee